Hi, I'm Rowan from HG Walter. As a part of our butchery demonstration series, I'm going to show you how to cut some Cote De Boeufs. Coming underneath the blade bone, face up the ends, rake the tip of the knife against the bone.
3, 2, 1.
So this rib of beef has been aged for 38 days in our Himalayan salt fridge. And what that process does, apart from developing a nice crust, which we call pellicle, it allows the proteins in the meat to break down, making the meat softer and also enhancing the flavour. With cutting the Cote De Boeufs, the first thing I want to do is take the chine bone off the bottom. So I'm going to move it to its side, and I'm going to skim on the inside of the plate bone. Now just working with my boning knife and starting from one end and working down the other, just the tip, slowly scrape against the bone, pushing it away from the meat. When you can hear that noise, you know you're doing it right. So as you can see, just the tip scraping against the bone, pushing away, trying to open that out. Always going one end to the other. When you're butchering aged beef, it can be a little bit more difficult. The meat doesn't move as much, it can be a little bit firmer. You've got to be a little bit careful with this. When you need to, move the meat around, make it easier for yourself. Make sure, get all the way down to the bottom of that plate, and then just with your boning knife, just try and loosen up. And when we come to saw the ribs, that will help us just release that bone a little bit easier. And once you're happy you've loosened that bone enough, you're going to move it to its back. Next we're going to need our saw. Now my aim is to saw these rib bones just through, not cutting into the eye, just through to that little corner there of the joint. I'm going to hold the rib nice and steady for this part. Be very careful not to saw into the eye of the meat as you get through the bones. If you need to, just pull them away to try and help yourself. You'll hear as you're sawing, as you're getting close, the sound will change a little bit. That last little bit, we should be there. Now keeping the rib in place, with your boning knife, you're just going to work around the joints of the vertebrae, just separating that plate bone. Pushing the meat away as much as you can. Just slowly working around those joints, being very careful not to go into the eye. You almost want to scoop your bone into the plate. As you catch that last piece, you should hear it come loose. And that's your plate bone, and that can go for stock. The next thing we want to do is take the cap off our rib. It's better seen from this side. You've got the eye and then you've got a seam that runs down. And this muscle on top is what we call the rib cap. So if we follow that line down there, we should just be able to peel it off with our knife. Tip of the knife again. Always pulling the meat away as you cut. And what that does, that just allows you to see where you're going. And that's our cap, and we'll trim off the aged bits and we can use that for aged burgers. The next thing we want to take off is our paddywack, a large bit of gristle that runs the whole length. It's not going to eat very well. Just with your knife, you'll find a seam around it, get a good grip on it, and just pull it away. And then we have our untrimmed Cote De Boeufs. The next thing I'm going to do is just trim a face off, taking away that aged meat. And by taking that off, that exposes this beautiful bit of meat. I'm going to cut that into Cote De Boeufs now. So you've done the work already by taking the bone off. So you should be able to just cut your Cote De Boeufs between the ribs. Leave you with some beautiful steaks. And there we have 4 beautiful aged Cote De Boeufs. And that's how you trim a forerib down into Cote De Boeufs. And if you'd like to watch more butchery demonstrations, please click the link.